On this episode of Tales of the Table, it's the official Tales of the Table Top 5 Movies with special guest, Paul. If you haven't listened to the end of the episodes before, or the last 3 episodes where I've said it in the beginning, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you leave a 5-star review, we'll read it on the podcast. And who knows, you might be able to come on the podcast.
Paul's actually not our friend. He just left a 5-star review, so we got him on. Just show you that we bring him in. We're here for the people.
Never met Paul in our life.
Yeah.
We're also on.
This is actually my make.
On YouTube.
Jesus, Paul.
Oh my God.
We're also on
sad
YouTube
Make-A-Wish.
Always wanted to come on. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it one more try. We're on YouTube at Tales of the Table on YouTube. So if you want to see Paul's beautiful face and whatever Boone has, go check us out on YouTube. To start off the
That
episode,
was so scripted.
Before we get into our movie rankings, Boone's gonna tell us he's gonna give us a movie review for this movie themed episode, and then he's gonna tell a story about that movie.
All right, so the movie that we went and saw was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, Candyman. Coincidentally enough, we were able to convince Bowen to go on this trip. It's verbally known to the masses that Bowen hates all scary movies, does not want to go to them. Every single scary movie he's seen has been either recommended by me or he's seen it with me. So I take pride in that every single time. Well, anyway, we convinced him to go.
It's a lot of movies, though. I've seen a lot of scary movies as a non-scary movie fan.
And I've done it to Matthew. Like Matthew, we've convinced Amber multiple times to come to horror movies, and she's the same way.
If you didn't do it to me, you did it to Amber.
Yeah, Matthew likes horror movies. But anyway, so we go to our local movie theater. We get in there, start watching the movie, and immediately I already had it feel. It's like you get it in the air. And I start hearing these little kids back here mumbling, making all these noise, giggling, making all this ruckus, and I'm like, "Oh, dude! As long as it's during the trailer, we're good. Y'all do this during the trailers, get it out." Well, then all of a sudden the movie kicks in, and it's got this really cool intro where they got everything backwards, and it's really cool. And all of a sudden, here they are talking, and so they talk like that the entire movie, full conversations. Now, I'm not a big guy. Like, I don't complain about somebody whispering. You whisper to your homies, that's all good. But then when you're sitting there talking, loud.
It was at this level of conversation was being had, I mean, like the whole theater could hear it.
Exactly.
It was at this level of speaking.
And the problem was, okay, so we're going to see Candyman, which is known to have a black actor. It's like based around like just like African Americans, like you know what I mean? Like it's like based around.
Why are you trying to? Yes, we know.
You know what I mean? Like it's just geared towards that. But that's what Jordan Peele said when he wanted to produce the movie. He said that he's trying to bring more black people into horror. So it was all based around that. So we look around the audience, predominantly black people, and I look behind me, and the people making this noise are these 3 little white kids, like just making this loud noise. I'm like, dude, y'all are, like it's about to be bad for y'all. Y'all need to shut up, like. So anyway, I go and I'm the little tattletale. I go and tattle
Boone
on
was
him.
a Karen. Boone was a Karen.
I was a cat. Well, I just said, look. I was like, look. Because everybody's there is looking at him. Like, I'll look around. I see all these people, like, looking at him. Like,
I almost said something, and I never say something. And I almost said something out loud. If I would have known it was 3 little, like, maybe kind of high school-looking kids. And we found that out, though. Like, I found that out after the movie ended, and everybody stood up. But it was really bad.
And I felt bad because, like, people pay so much money nowadays to go to the movies. And, like, when someone comes there and ruins it for you, that's, like, a big deal. But anyway, so I tell on them, the guy comes and quietens them down. They go right back into it. Either way, the point of the story is I didn't get to fully enjoy the movie as it was meant to be enjoyed because I was distracted. I'm the type of person when I watch a movie, I get sucked in. I'm, like, in the world. And then when someone starts talking, I get sucked out. Like, I'm right back into the regular world. So that's the way.
In and out. Snip, snap.
Yeah,
snap.
And that's what kept happening. And I was like, oh, man. So I was pretty ticked off at the end of the movie. But I could tell that it was a good movie. I just couldn't stay involved. Well, then I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this again because McKenna wanted to watch it anyway, my wife. So I was like, all right, I'll go watch it with you. And so we went and watched it Tuesday. And then I watched it. Great movie. I finally got to, like, I saw a lot of things I didn't see the first time around, all the subtle things, like how it went. But anyway, the review, it was a good movie. It was very kind of slow burn. The graphics were really awesome in it. I thought the kills in it were really gory. It's a really gory movie when he's killing, when Candyman's killing people. But I thought it was very, very suspenseful, very intense. It's definitely, I really enjoyed the take on Candyman because the story kind of changed what they did with the first one. The first one's already like a big pillar, like it broke a lot of barriers for African Americans in horror movies, and it was like well known as like a successful movie, and now this one kind of reiterated. I cannot pronounce the guy's name, but the guy the main actor is awesome for this. He's the guy who's been cast for Blade in the Marvel the MCU. But anyway, he's awesome. Great movie. I give it a 4 out of 5 for suspense.
That being said that I don't like scary movies, I actually didn't mind in this one. I liked this one. It had the same kind of vibe as like Get Out.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. It had the same vibe, and I don't mind. Like, those don't scare me in a way that like other scary movies do, so I enjoy those more. I like this one. I told you this after the movie. I like it if Candyman is a new character, like they're going to build off of. This is a really good like intro.
I think that's definitely what they're trying to do, because like especially since they hired that big actor, they kind of left it on that note that if you watch the movie, you'll know how they kind of leave it up for more movies to come. So I definitely think that's what they were doing. They were trying to build his backstory so that they can bring him into more movies, and I think they'll do it right. Everything for me, I don't know about this, and it's about to get into it right here for the rest of this segment for me, but everything that Jordan Peele touches, I think is awesome. Like, I literally think he brings such a vibe to a movie, don't
talk too much about it, because I'm sure you're going to talk about it more in this segment.
I know. Anyway, last thing I say, I always give a parent's guide. The movie's very gory, and there's some profanity throughout the movie. That's it for Parent's Guide. 4 out of 5. I recommend it to anybody who likes horror movies. Just try to make sure you get a pretty empty theater. All right. That's my movie reviews.
Nice.
All right.
Now on to
we're going to be moving into our movie rankings. So how we did this is we took each of us picked our top 5 movie overall, our top 5 actor/actresses overall. Sorry, actresses, you didn't really get much input here. And then we're also going to do our
we
best
don't know
favorite.
yet.
We're going to
we don't know.
a little more detail in the movie and actors and actress section, and then we're going to list our favorite movie by genre. And then if we have time, we're going to debate who we think the best actor is of all time, not just our favorite, but the best. And then the best movie of all time.
Yeah, make sure it's known before we begin. This is not what we regard as we think is the best publicly. It's our favorites, personal favorites.
And also, we are not film critics.
How we're going to do this is
or anything, so you might be offended.
Yes, correct. Yes, very much.
Personal opinion.
Boone is a very well-renowned movie reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paul, we talking about my credentials are phenomenal.
My bad. All right, then take everything he says here.
So we're going to... So here we're gonna do. We're gonna start. We're all gonna give our 5s. So we're gonna go 5, and then we're gonna go 4, 3, 2, 1, like a draft essentially. But if someone's movie gets picked, do we want to say Boone's number 4 is Bowen's number 2? Does Bowen want to go ahead and talk about it during that, or
we can just kind of bounce back and forth on it. Like, I'm sure
you could say, hey, this is also this number, but don't put it in yet. We can get to that.
We'll just do all 5s at once, because it'll get confusing if we start bouncing around. So let's do all 5s, all 4s, and then if someone mentions it, you can just say they mentioned it before. This is why I chose it.
Okay, so we're gonna talk why we chose it while we say it, right? Like, we chose this because, and we kind of. So we're not chiming in though. Like, if Bowen puts Pretty Little Liars on there, I'm not supposed to chime in and say
that's
something.
That's a TV show. But yes, you can chime in and say why he's saying it. We can debate each thing, but
at the end though, because we don't want to be cutting off each other, because it's going to happen if we get too heated.
Okay.
So say what your piece is whenever you bring it up, and then after you're done, talk about what you want to talk about.
Okay. All right.
So the order I have right now, this is just the random order I put the chart in. Me, Boone, Bowen, Paul. Is anyone object to that?
No.
That's a fair order. That's a fair order.
So I'll start off. I'm going to give my what went into me choosing these movies, and then I'll say it's number 5. So I really had 3 criterias. Is it a good movie? Like, is it considered like objectively a good movie? How rewatchable is it? And then 3, can I watch it with my grandma?
Why is that your last one?
Because like, is it? Do I have to be careful who I watch it around? Because I can't just go watching Game of Thrones with a bunch of 5-year-olds sitting around.
I smell you.
So that didn't really impact that much. It really had to just do what I put at number 1. But my number 5, top 5 movie, number 5 is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. If it was a trilogy, I'd put it higher. But it's the best fantasy movie series of all time. It's got great cast, great acting. For the time, great special effects. They still hold up today. And I could watch it on repeat. And it's also, I can watch it with my grandma. So that's what I put. I picked my favorite of the trilogy, but if we were doing trilogies, it'd be higher. That's what I put at Lord of the Rings.
I'm not sure if Bowen's going to do it, but Bowen, it'd be real cool when you're editing to put posters of these movies while we're talking about them.
Lord of the Rings mine.
Just saying.
We'll see.
Okay, so Boone, what's your number 5?
Oh, we're all doing all 5 and then all 4.
I already said that, yes.
Okay, yeah, but Matthew, I didn't really fully understand. Okay, crap, dude. My 5. Okay. My number 5. Okay, let me just go ahead and tell y'all that this was probably the most painful thing I've ever done. It's like killing children, like my children. Like I was like, I love you all so much. I don't want to not to be in the top 5. Like I literally love, and so it was very difficult for me not to let more movies in the top 5. But with that being said, my top 5 is Rambo: First Blood. That movie, not only did that movie just, I don't know, dude, that movie has so much like undertones of actual wartime in it, of like what those soldiers faced when they came home. The action's amazing by far, besides for Rocky 2, which actually didn't make the list. Rest in peace, dog. I really wanted you to make the list. But anyway, his best acting, in my opinion, was in Rocky because you could truly see the pain in his eyes. It was a great movie.
I thought Rocky would
Action's
be like
amazing.
one or
that's
two
my
for
number
you.
5.
Or, yeah, Rambo
Okay,
would be
next
1
up.
or 2 for you, honestly.
I thought so too, but my taste in movies has changed a lot since high school, and so in high school it would have definitely been number 1.
Actually,
It definitely would have been number 1. But
or something for Fast and Furious. My number 5. My number 5 is Shawshank Redemption.
okay,
That almost made my list.
It's one of those movies that like, if it's like not football season and it comes on a Sunday, and like I got a couple craft beers, it's a good Sunday. I would call that a good Sunday after that.
yeah, that's
Y'all know
that's
how
a good
great
movie.
of a
Watch it.
year for movies that year was? I think it was
I really like
96.
it. It's good.
But that same year was Forrest Gump and
Yes.
Pulp Fiction
Yes.
and Shawshank Redemption. All came out in like a 2-month period.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there were a couple
Yeah,
more.
that is crazy.
Oh my
Actually,
94.
Really?
Shawshanks is nothing to argue about. That's a good number 5. That's a good number 5.
That's a good
That's
number 5.
a lot of
It is.
people's number 1, really. But
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know that we
good.
were like
Okay, Paul,
ranking
what's your
them,
number
so I
5?
just picked 5 of my favorites. So I'm kind of like doing this off the top. But I'm gonna say my number 5 is The Departed, 2004, Martin Scorsese. Great movie. A lot of that is just for nostalgic purposes because I've seen this movie probably 100 times just throughout high school. It's not Martin Scorsese's best movie, or Leonardo DiCaprio's best movie, or Matt Damon's best movie, but just the aura of them just being in Boston. It's a great story. It's a great movie. Yeah. You can't find like anything wrong with it.
That is a good movie.
Mhm.
I don't know about you all, but is
Yeah,
is
that's a part
nostalgia
of it.
going to be like a big, like that's a big thing for me on the rest of my list? Is
I really only had
nostalgia.
one.
Nostalgia puts it to one of mine.
Like
yeah.
nostalgia is like
Yeah.
playing big because like a lot of my movies are not going to be considered like phenomenal by means. But let that be known that The Departed was another little
And like
little guy that just didn't make the cut. Just had to chop him off.
At the end, I think we'll give her honorable mentions. I made a list of honorable mentions.
if you would have asked me in high school, The Departed would have been number 1.
All right, that's
All
good
right.
though. Matthew.
But we
So speaking of nostalgia,
Yeah.
the only movie that really made my list because of nostalgia was number 4, Remember the Titans. It was my favorite movie growing up. It still holds up pretty well. It's got one of my favorite actors. Hint at the next list, Denzel Washington. It's about football, which I really loved. I still love it today, but especially when I was younger. And it's a good movie.
Okay. All right. That's
Well,
that's a respectable one. I figured that one was going to make it. I knew you always liked that movie, and that's one of those movies that I definitely like, but I don't know if it'd put it on my list, but it is a phenomenal movie. All right. Anyway,
Boone's up next.
one
number
for
4.
me is
up next.
It Chapter 1. This movie was my number 1 for like as soon as it came out. It was my number 1 for so long, and my taste just twisted just a little bit and kind of brought it back a little bit. But anyway, this movie was the best movie, second best movie theater watching experience for me. First is Endgame, another movie that did not make my list. I'll explain why later. But anyway, because when I watched it, it was the first time people got to see this because if you don't remember the marketing, they kind of tried to hide him a lot. So then when you got to finally see him on the big screen, I had this one like funny story. This girl was walking across my seat, and as like there was the first time you saw it, he jumps like it kind of scares you. It's real loud, and this girl was walking by my seat, and she had popcorn and a drink, and she flung on the person next to me, like yelled out, like. And when you're watching this scary movie with all this gigantic, I watched it packed, like every seat was taken. We had to get our seats in advance, like it was that kind of. It was like in-game level when that movie came out. So everybody was packed, and when everybody was screaming together, it was amazing. The movie by itself is like the perfect mixture of like every reason why everyone loves Stranger Things, like that 1980s vibe, but they bring it into actual horror. You get to see all the connections. Perfectly written movie. For me, that movie is number 4. Arguably, it could bounce to number 1 easily any day. It's
so
just today.
To clarify, you're talking about the remake of it.
Yes, the remake. That's why I said chapter 1 because it is just one whole movie in the old one. But yeah, it chapter 1, number 4 for me.
Is a good movie.
A little bit of input. The original It was my favorite my favorite scary movie for a long time because it was like the very first scary movie I ever saw, and I was like 10 and I was terrified.
Same, buddy. That's the same. That's where the nostalgia for me. It was the very first scary movie I ever watched.
So,
the original.
We'll move to number 4. Bowen, number 4.
My number 4 is I like a movie that has a good story, like a story movie, and it's also my number 1 kind of correlates with that. But my number 4 is The Hateful Eight. I really love like the story in it. Like it's just like it's one of those I just like get down. I'm like no one's ever told a story like this or from this perspective with what's going on. The scene. It's a winter storm. They're all in this like cabin thing.
Yeah,
I love it. Like the actors are really cool and good. I think it's a solid 4.
Yep, it is. It's on my all-time list. It's another one that didn't make the chopping block. That's another one. I love that movie. Gosh, I love that movie. The whole vibe, the whole wintry, stormy vibe,
and
is
the
perfect.
Stories, and they cut the stories and then they like pan away. Like Morgan Freeman will be telling a story, and it's like, I mean, it's just cool. It's cool stuff.
That just made me remind why I got to change my number 5.
My
actor,
number 4. See, this is where it gets complicated because I did not.
Paul, what's your number 4?
Yeah, no, I gotta pick one. Already, I know what my number 1 is, and I know what my number 5.
We get to see the pain live
interchangeable.
for Paul.
So I'm just gonna go with off of Bowen, go with a different Quentin Tarantino movie, Pulp Fiction. All-time great film. 94 came out a couple months before Shawshank, and it's a beautifully directed film, beautifully acted, and it started a lot of people's careers. It started Quentin, started Samuel L. Jackson. It brought back John Travolta, who was kind of on the downside of his career, and just a great movie. Consensusly, it's a great movie too.
I will say that. Yeah. I will say it's a big spoiler for one of our lists later, but I think it's not my number 1. But I do personally think Pulp Fiction is the definition of a perfect movie. Perfect all the way around. There is not a flaw in that movie. Not a single flaw. I don't think you could find a flaw. That movie is perfect from top to bottom. Story, acting, everything about it's perfect.
It was my first cut.
Yeah. I could have done without that.
Well, I think she kind of pop belly.
It's so good that I forget that freaking Bruce Willis is in it all the time. He's like a main character. I forget about him being in it. Yeah.
I know.
Well,
his scene that happens in that basement is one of the most scarring things. I watched that at 12 years old, dog. 12 years old.
Really?
With my granddad sitting next to me. We were watching it on a laptop. We were on his computer in the back room.
And
he's
seen it?
Yeah, he's seen it. He's like, I'm going to show you one of my favorite movies of all time. I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And I was like, a lot of my movie list is because my granddad showed them too early for me. But, man, that scene scarred me. Scarred.
I don't know if there's a movie with more iconic scenes.
My favorite scene is when he's like, accidentally shot Marvin in the head.
All right, who's next? Matthew? Yeah.
I like to say Pulp Fiction.
Top 3.
I had to put Lord of the Rings on there, so I took Pulp Fiction off, but that was on my list until like the very end. Number 3 is Inception. It's my favorite genre movie, so science fiction. It's like a psychological thriller. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, one of my favorite actors. It's got an ensemble cast as well. And then the ending. So this is another spoiler to my honorable mentions. Shutter Island was one of my favorite movies for a long time, but the thing that pushed it so high was the ending. But once you see the ending, it's not that big of a deal once you rewatch it. So, Inception was number 2 or number 1 for a while, but once you see the ending, it's sort of what happens at the end. So, there, but Inception's up there.
Like The Sixth Sense.
All right, that's a good one. I will say, you ever hear when people say like they have a movie that they like?
Inception?
I'm a big movie buff, but that is one of the movies. Actually, both of those.
That's like one of the movies
for some reason.
That's like if you're like our age, 24,
Inception and Shutter Island,
you have to see it. It's like one of those movies.
I know, Paul. I've been working. I know.
It is.
I know. I already know how great it is. I've heard 1,000 times how great it is. All right. Well, my number 3. This one was my number 1. This one could be my number 1 tomorrow. Like that's how good this movie is. is Get Out. Get Out is another definition of an absolutely perfect movie, top to bottom. Freaking Jordan Peele blew the world away. That movie I watched 4 times in theaters, back to back to back. I was like, man, I'm gonna go watch that with Bowen. I'm gonna go watch that with my brother. I'm gonna go watch that with this other group of friends. I'm gonna go watch that. I had to keep watching. I was like, I'm obsessed with this movie. Perfect. That ending when that cop car shows up and you think he's about to go to jail. Gosh, I've never felt so mad in a movie theater. And then you watch him come out. No spoilers because everybody's seen this before. And he says TSA. I mean, that movie. When you I remember getting the biggest chill in my bone when he's like real nervous and he wants to leave and he's like, "Come on, give me the keys," and then she's like, "I can't," and then she shows it to him and you're like, "Oh snap!" Because I really didn't know. I mean, and this is heavy spoilers. Hopefully, everybody in the world has seen this movie, but heavy spoilers. Heavily spoiled. Like when he finds out that she's evil, I'm like, dude. Like I remember in the theater, people's brain being melted because they was like, oh snap, that movie. Gosh, that could be my number 1 any day. Any day that could swap that number 1 right there. But it's number 3 today.
Good movie.
I feel like this is about to upset us.
Okay, my number 3 is purely based off of nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't expect this to be on anybody else.
I think I know what it is.
I don't know why this movie. I don't know why this movie does it for me. Maybe, but
oh my god.
I don't know why I like this movie so much. I actually own the DVD version.
I forget that that's even a movie.
It's Robots. The movie Robots.
Okay, didn't know that. Did not know that.
I knew Bowen liked the movie. I didn't think
Robots.
it was on his list.
I thought you were about to say the
I
thought he was about to say the SpongeBob movie.
No,
I thought you were going to say Princess Bride because that's your dad loves that movie.
No, my dad loves that.
Okay, tell us why Robots made number 3 on your list.
I don't know why Robots did it for me. I just
you're saying that Robots.
I haven't watched it in a long time. I know it's weird.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear.
Weird, so I get
so
that.
right now you're saying Robots is better than Shawshank.
It's got some heavy hitters in the
list.
movie though, Paul. It's got Robin Williams in the movie.
Yeah, I know.
Ewan McGregor is in the movie.
Yeah. It's just funny. It's just funny.
It's his favorite, not better.
I told you it was purely based off.
Well,
of
to him, it actually would be better. Like he would. That's how the listing works. Like to him, he can't explain why, and I get that. I get
really
that,
don't.
but
So
it is.
No, I
It's
think
funny and random. It's stupid.
This isn't like what we think the best movies are.
That's what I was saying. It's just
So Bowen
funny
just
to
think that
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption is a better movie itself, but he just likes Robots more.
Oh, for sure, Hateful Eight, Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Different. We're not even talking about the same game.
yeah, but we get why you put it there. I got some crazy ones. All right, what's Paul?
I got
let's hear it.
one more
That's
thing
my
for
three.
Bowen. I've never seen the movie Robots, but I do remember Bowen just has that movie in his room all the time. I can see the cover, and when I think of that movie, I think
three,
of this
Matthew
cover
said he had to pick
Bowen's room.
between Pulp Fiction and Lord of the Rings for his list. I did not. I put them both. For number
All right,
3, I
Paul,
got
number
Lord of the
3.
Rings. I did. At first, I was just doing like the whole trilogy, but if I had to pick one, I'd do the Two Towers. And it's just a great film series. It in Star Wars kind of started this whole like fantasy thing that led to like Game of Thrones that we're seeing now. But it's just perfectly done. Long movies, but great movies. And they're fun to watch. I can show those to anybody. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amber doesn't like. She started laughing halfway through the first one because she thought the acting was so bad.
That's
makes
one
me
of those
wanna
movies again that I want to watch so bad. I keep telling myself, but y'all, it's so long. Like that's like I gotta have a whole week almost.
But
to watch
you'll
that.
really enjoy it.
You
though.
go to
if
movies
you like Harry
every
Potter,
day.
I know,
you'll like
but I
Lord
like
of the Rings.
it's hard.
Not comparing, not like Harry Potter. If you like Harry Potter, you'll definitely get into. You can get
Yeah,
into Lord of the
yeah.
Rings.
I believe you because as soon as you already know I took the Star Wars. I remember I used to call it big nerd stuff, and then I watched it and I was like, I'm big
it's
Star
almost
Wars
exciting
now.
though.
So I
It's
get
almost
why.
exciting.
I
Like,
get
know,
why.
Like now that you do. Know
And I
what
liked the
movie
first
quality
Hobbit
is.
movie. I remember watching that in theaters with you guys, and I thought that movie was awesome. So I get like why I get the whole mythos and the lore behind it.
Yeah. You
All
should
right.
record yourself watching the first one. As much of a movie person you are.
Is it that good? I mean, is
I
it
don't.
that
I
good?
mean, it's on both their.
All right.
It's not on mine, but it is.
I will say before we go into our top 2, can keep in mind these movies. Now we're in the serious. Now we're in the popcorn now, boys. We're in the movies that these movies mean the most to you ever. All right, here they are, top 2. Because I know for everybody here, those top 2 might be interchangeable. They might be like me. Like
Right.
they could maybe one day it changes, one day it's this one. So anyway, all right, here we go. Matthew, let us know.
My number 2, it's going to be Django Unchained. Yeah, I had to put Quentin Tarantino in there somewhere. It's got Jamie Foxx, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay, hold on. I need to stop you. You're gonna get a chance. Do not, for real, don't spoil that. I'm 50% away through this movie this week. Okay, never watched before. Don't spoil it.
Django Unchained.
Yep.
Yeah.
I told you there's some movies Boone just accidentally skips, and for some reason it's the ballers.
Accidentally
It's the ballers that I skip. I watch the trash.
know you've never seen
I
Django
watch the
Unchained.
trash. I skip the ballers. That's apparently what I've been doing my whole life. I told Paul I watched Training Day the other day. Mine melted how good that movie is. Denzel Washington, maybe his best acting ever. I mean, phenomenal.
How did you put this movie down halfway through? I don't understand what you're doing here with this 50% already watched it.
This is my movie.
Yeah, it's his.
No, Boone said but you said I'm 50% done watching it this week or something like that.
Yeah, like I'm still like I'm literally paused halfway through it on Netflix. If you go to my Netflix,
I don't know how. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. I don't understand that part. That's the part I don't understand.
I don't know.
Before I was rudely interrupted. It's great stylistically, like directorial, great acting.
Actually,
Great
I watched
cast,
that with my grandpa.
Super gruesome.
It does
though,
make
but
me
it's
a little uncomfortable in some parts, but the only thing that catches
Hey,
me
my
number
grandparents
one,
have seen
can't watch it
some
with my
stuff.
grandma. I'm sorry. So I just put it on number 1.
They love them both.
I know, Paul. You watched Wolf of Wall Street with your grandparents.
Wolf of
in
Wall
theater.
Street with your
Yeah,
grandparents.
Paul. Yeah. You All right.
You know that was uncomfortable.
I will say I'm halfway through, and I literally was like, first off, I threw it on. I was like, I don't know if this movie's got the hype. I get 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, this movie is phenomenal. I don't know how I'm feeling about this movie. This movie's amazing. And then the only reason it's only stopped halfway through is because I know that I need peace and quiet. I need tranquility when I go to finish this movie because I know it's that good. I know it's just that good. All right. I got to the part where he's getting offered to be a bounty hunter. Like the guy's offering to be a bounty hunter. So I was like, oh man, it's so good. All right,
That
so number
scene with the masks is so funny. Have you guys
yes,
yet?
Well,
Yeah, with Jonah
yes,
Hill
yes,
is just in it.
it is. But here we go. Into the Spider-Verse is my number 2. No one in the world. This is my movie for like Bowen Robots. Like I can't explain it. I can't tell you why it is. I can't tell you why I like it more than Get Out or It Chapter 1 or First Blood. I can't tell you. But all I know is when I first watched that movie, it was on Netflix, didn't watch it in theaters. I sat down, I was dog sitting, I threw that movie on, and my eyes were just glued to the screen. And then I was like, this movie's so good. First time in my whole life, I always tell this story about that movie. First time in my whole life, I watched the movie, because it's like a 2-hour movie. I get done, I'm like, man, I ain't got nothing else to do. I put that bad boy right back on. Within 5 seconds from starting it. Watched it again, just as good. I don't know what it was about it, but that movie was perfect for me. I can't explain it. I think it was the artistic style. The story was really awesome. I think the introduction of a new Spider-Man could be even better than the original. Miles Morales is so amazing. That's why the video game's blowing up these records when it came out. But yes, that movie
That's the
was
whole reason Matthew got the PlayStation.
that movie was awesome for me. It will always be probably my number 2. It was arguably my number 1 for a while. But
To be fair, Boone, unlike Robots, Into the Spider-Verse is like an objectively good movie. It's like really highly ranked. It's on my list later for the by genre.
Spider-Man video games, I do always remember being really fun. What was
they
the one
are.
we used to play, Matthew? Was that
down in his
Spider-Man
basement,
GameCube.
Matthew's basement. Even before me and Matthew were like close friends. I used to go to Matthew's basement to play.
All right, so Paul could, I'll put this in the beginning. So no. Paul needs to go first. I'll put this in the beginning so we know where to cut it and stuff. So Bowen, you're up. Number 3.
No, number 2.
Number 2, Bowen. Number 2.
My number 2, I think, is a pretty solid number 2. I think it's understandable why I put it here. And I know I'm doing this backwards from everybody else, but I like building the suspense. It's fun for me. Describing it first and then telling you what the movie is.
Uh-oh.
But I like this one. This one I can put on and it just motivates me for some reason. I'm like, this is a good movie. I like watching this. It has a good story again. And then also the lore around it we all know, but it's Rogue One. Is my number 2 movie.
Yes.
It's just
The
one of
ending.
those movies that
The ending made that movie.
This is good, yeah.
I could
How
watch
they tied it back. You have to understand the Star Wars world
Yes.
to really like this one. But if you do, I think we all know like this is actually. Like,
I respect
good.
you. Star Wars didn't even make my list, Bone, and so I respect you for having Star Wars. Star Wars as a trilogy, but that's why it didn't. Because to me, those first 3, it's like almost like you can't even split them up for me. Like it's those first three all would be my favorite, but I would just have to say, like Paul said for Lord of the Rings, he would say, if I could just pick three. Well, I can't really just pick one of the middle ones to the end or the beginning. I would just have to pick all three of them as like as one long movie.
For me, Star Wars like Rogue One gives you that original vibe to it. Like,
it's perfect.
They build all these really good characters, and then like they all die. Like I'm all spoiled. I don't care.
I think it's widely regarded as like
Darth
the best.
Vader comes in at the end and just goes ham, and you're just like, holy crap! Darth Vader is is probably the greatest villain of all time in all of movie history. And that scene at the end of Rogue One of him coming in is just like
chills, dude. Chills.
I forgot to mention this segment is called "You're Asking the Wrong Guys."
But I definitely feel you on that, Bowen. That ending could have been the movie itself, and it probably would have been critically acclaimed.
And then Princess Leia, they have a young Princess Leia at the end, and it's just like, oh, this is dope.
Man, that's getting me hyped again. It's widely regarded, like even old Star Wars fans, you know how hard they are to please. Regard that as like one of the best, if not the best, Star Wars movie. Like it's literally, I hear all the times the comments on our NFL. They do though. I'm not. I don't say that, but I'm telling you, like it's literally. I read comments on it all the time. It comes up on our movie all the time.
I don't think you do either, but I understand why.
I know. As soon as I heard myself say it, but a lot of people say that. A lot of people do.
I don't think it is. I don't think you do either, but I do understand why.
Yeah,
because it's just it is.
Paul, you're up number 2.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody put Star Wars on here.
Star Wars collectively would have been on there.
All right, movie. Yeah, and there's so many. My top 2. I don't know if you all have heard of them. Hopefully, some of the people at home have. But my number 2 is Platoon, 80s movie, Vietnam War.
I've seen it. It's
Oliver Stone directed. It's a great movie. Oliver Stone directed. It's a great mix of drama and action. It's almost like a play, the way that they portray it. Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger. Great movie. I've heard a lot of people say that that's the most realistic war movie that's ever been made.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That Willem Dafoe scene, Paul, you already know which one I'm talking about. That scene is just, that scene gets me every time. When that helicopter comes in, and I'm not going to say it because the two of us haven't seen it, but I have seen the movie. It's great. It's another one I watched with my granddad. I do love that movie. It's definitely could make anybody's list. I get why it's there.
Yeah, and I that's another movie that I used to watch a lot. Like,
I'm not a big war movie guy, so that's the only reason it wouldn't make my list, because war movies aren't, like, for me personally, they're not rewatchable for me. Like, I just don't enjoy watching war movies, but I get why you have it on. It's very very acclaimed, very loved movie.
You guys are movie nerds. Movie nerding it right now.
Oh, yeah. Just kidding. Moving into the final,
number one. Number one.
It's a big deal now. It's a big
deal.
Very
hard. Any of these, I think any of my top 5 could have been number 1, but this sort of checked all the boxes. So my number 1 is going to be Catch Me If You Can. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks. It's a true story. The true story part amps it up. I can watch it with my grandma. It's a really good movie, good acting, good story.
Sure.
And the only reason I'll say this right now, because we already said it. No, this hasn't happened yet, but I put it as my suspense movie, like the best one that I've ever seen was Catch Me If You Can. But I just want to say that because I agree, it is really.
I'm pretty surprised too. We haven't had any repeats yet.
Oh wow, we really haven't.
That's why I wanted to say this, because this was the first repeat that we're gonna have.
No, we haven't had repeats on this list.
No, I know.
I definitely agree with Matthew that when something's based on real life, even when it's just loosely tied in, it automatically draws you in more. That's from horror movies when they tell you based on a true story. I know it's fudged so much, but when it's based on a true story, it automatically sucks you in more. So that's the same way with Catch Me If You Can. It's actually one of the movies I have seen that's Leonardo DiCaprio, and that's a phenomenal movie. Phenomenal.
Yeah, Paul,
I chose a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio,
and you chose Lord of the Rings.
But both
2 Towers. So we had 2 different Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah. We got a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Number 1.
Okay.
So far.
This would not be anyone else's number 1. It won't even make anybody else's list. But this is pure. Has nothing to do with anything else. I don't think it's going to win any awards, but The Karate Kid, the original, is my number 1 movie of all time.
Really?
I find this movie to be.
Just tell my dad. I want you to tell my dad.
I know. And your dad, I could fight him. Chris, I could fight you when you disregard Karate Kid. There's something about Mr. Miyagi and teaching little Daniel's son and saving him. There's something about that story that I just connected with. I had that all those movies, like 1 through I think it's 4. All those movies would rewatch them because back then, back before we had before kids had the rich kids had the Disney Channel, or you had the Netflix. I would just put that in my DVD and rewatch that over and over again.
I do remember Disney Channel being exclusive for a second there. For a little while, it was like.
But anyway, Karate Kid.
Channel?
That's as they say. What's that thing they say on Reddit? And they say, "At the hill I'll die on." That's the hill I'll die on. I will die by Karate Kid. That's my movie.
This is the first movie on the list that I don't like, so it's your number one.
Really?
Why don't like this? Why don't you like that movie? Why doesn't Chris like it?
That's so good. Chris just says it was a nerd movie. He said it was nerds watched it when in the 80s. Like Chris was some cool guy. I don't care. I'll be a nerd.
He
I'll
said
nerd
he
it
remembers
up.
it back when it came out, and it was like a kind of like a.
He's like, yeah, weird. Only weirdos went and seen it. That's what he said.
Does he listen to this?
Chris is gonna listen to this. He's gonna be like, y'all are really getting at me right now.
Yeah, we are.
But yes.
Okay.
Bowen, what's your number one?
My number one is kind of nostalgia, but also it's a solid movie. That's not. It wouldn't not deserve to be in this place. I don't think. Anyway, it's one of those that has like it's movies almost inside of movies. It's a like really good story. That
I'm
like.
so
It's
over
just
this.
different.
I'm so over you describing them first.
You told us what you're doing, so now we just know exactly what's going on.
It does build suspense.
I know.
No, I'm kind of over it. Just tell me.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. I'll talk about it afterwards then. But my number one is Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Okay, awesome movie. Yep.
It's really cool. It's just different. It's like weird. It like has all these weird like characters like in these off scenes. Like it's like this whole thing. There's this whole goal they're trying to do. I don't know.
Oh,
But I like it
leave
a
us
lot.
again. It is a good movie. I like my favorite. It's one of the most iconic scenes where he's like, my favorite comedy scene. He's like, we thought you was a toad.
yeah.
That movie was phenomenal. Gosh, that movie's so good.
It's
And I think
got one of the best
singing
soundtracks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Soundtrack is really good. I really like the soundtrack. Yeah.
That's one of the things I forgot to mention for Remember the Titans. The soundtrack for Remember the Titans is phenomenal.
Gosh.
Paul,
I agree. None of these are arguable. I get like I'm the big
Kid.
movie guy. I'm the big movie guy, and I got Karate Kid as my number one. I know. Listen, I know. But I still respect. I know Karate Kid would even make the top 1,000 on most like big all-time movies. I already know. Maybe not the top 2,000, but for me, that's just what it is. So remember, guys, that's the list. Don't be disrespecting me. It's favorite, not the best. All right.
Yeah, but we're
Okay,
saying
Paul.
All right,
Paul,
my
what's
number
your
one. None of you all have seen it. I still love it. I've said this is my favorite movie since like.
You're the worst
Yeah, I know.
for this.
I'm not the worst for you. All are the worst audience for this because you all don't watch my movies. But great movie, 80s, directed. No, I get to do what you were doing. 80s, Francis Ford Coppola, Apocalypse Now, my favorite movie of all time. Great movie.
I've seen it.
Oh, you have? It's a great movie. I mean, it's not like a hidden gem, but like I don't know, it's not your all's cup of tea. I don't think, but it's a great movie. Another Vietnam movie.
It's not a war movie.
It's a great movie. It's pretty consensus. That's a top 10.
That's a big reason why I've avoided it.
It's a great story too.
I've seen it.
You would like it. It's not like a old.
I thought you were about to say Citizen Kane. Paul always supports Citizen Kane. I thought he was about to say Citizen Kane. And I was like, Paul, dude, you're about to kill me out.
Apocalypse Now is just
But Apocalypse Now is definitely respectable.
You would like it if you saw it. It's not like a traditional war movie.
Heard all
It's
the
like
good
they're
things
telling
about
like a story of. It's really good. It's got Marlon Brando.
Oh, I don't hate war movies. They're just not. I don't know what it is. It's just like Bowen doesn't like horror movies. I don't like war movies. It's just like it's just a thing you don't. It's a preference thing.
So we got our top 5 movies of all time. We'll probably revise these every once in a while as we go through. But we'll put out a graphic on our Instagram. So check out our Instagram at TLTI Pod, and you'll see these on there.
You can make a graphic with this.
That's an interesting list. Anybody who looks at this is going to be like, okay, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Karate Kid. You got Apocalypse Now, and
Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can. Like that's just an interesting list. I like it. I like how it's different.
I want to see. Matthew, you should take our names away from it and see if we can figure it out. Or figure out who's. Well, we're gonna know, I guess. But like some of these, I wouldn't guess. Paul's is just very. Yeah, but you look at Paul and you see his movies. I'm looking at.
We could do
Matthew
before
updated it on
before we post this.
Google Doc.
We could post these charts and be like, without their names, like, guess who this is, and then nobody will comment because no one ever comments or leaves reviews.
Yeah, you just took a shot at your audience.
All right. It's time for It's time for our favorite actors. Keep in mind, it's still just favorite. It's not the best.
Just go through them real quick. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We can throw those in there.
So we'll do the same order, and then just list all your honorable mentions. You don't have to say anything about them. And then my honorable mentions, I have about 10.
Oh.
I'll do the ones that.
Well, you best get to
I don't
thinking.
have any honorable mentions because I forgot, and I only did it for my actors.
I had Into the Spider-Verse on there. So I'll do that one, and then the Godfather, Shutter Island, The Departed, Seven, Pulp Fiction, Infinity War / Endgame. I had Star Wars, the rest of the Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potter series as a whole, and then I had Die Hard on there.
Series as a whole doesn't count. We'll do a whole segment on just series. All right. Anyway, my honorable mentions are The Dark Knight, The Truman Show, which I know is very loved by our people in this. The Equalizer, Denzel Washington, The Prisoners.
Is that the one with
very arguably
Prisoners? The one with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Sinister, one of my favorites.
Yeah, that movie's great. Yeah,
Hugh Jackman.
That. Yeah.
Yes, Paul. Yes. And then you got.
I didn't realize. I didn't know you liked it that much.
It was almost 5. It was almost 5. Could have been 1. Oh, I love that movie. I think that's the. All right. Anyway, Sinister, Christine, which is that's a nostalgia for me, and then The Visit, which is another nostalgic movie. All right. Anyway, that's my honorable mention.
Bowen, your honorable mentions? You didn't have any?
No.
Paul, honorable mentions?
Robots 2. He said Robots 2. I heard him.
Yeah, you're watching for it. All right, my honorable mentions are Glory, Denzel movie, Children of Men, The Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, both honorable mentions. Saving Private Ryan, Django Unchained, Dark Knight, and then Jaws. Jaws was almost number 5. Love that movie.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I
think
that is very generous,
Paul being almost number 5. I respect it, Paul.
I think we're gonna do the genres.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's generous. I mean, it scared a lot of people. You show a little kid a movie about sharks, Paul, they're gonna get scared.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
I did like Wolf of Wall Street a lot. I almost had that on there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Do we want to do actors next, or do we want to just go to genres and then actors?
We can do genres. We can do genres.
Yeah.
Actors can be something at the end. That's fine.
Yeah.
Did you do this part? Favorite genre, movie by genre?
No, this is the best. It's not favorite now. We're arguing what the best is. That's what I put in it.
I did that. I did.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Favorite.
My favorite's hard.
That's fine. That's fine.
Best is a separate thing.
I did favorite. Yeah, I did favorite. I did favorite.
Well, mine's gonna be different then.
Yeah.
So we're gonna roll with it.
I'll start off. We'll do the same order since I already made the chart.
Because you said the reason why it might not be our genre we like. There's a reason why we like the movie. That's what you said.
Well, my argument was like, okay, for instance, like my favorite action movie isn't gonna be what I think the best action movie is. You know what I mean? So I put the best. We can argue with it. That's fine. We can roll with it. It's already permanent. It's in pin. It's in pin right here.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do the same order since I already made the chart. So I'll start off. The first genre Boone sent us was rom-com. Let it be known that I don't like rom-coms that much. I rarely watch them. But my favorite, I'm going to have to pick one of the only rom-coms I've watched is going to be Love Actually.
Alan Rickman.
It's got
R.I.P.
Snape. That's a good redeeming for it.
Yes, he did pass away.
It's got Rick. It's got Rick from Walking Dead in there too. Andrew Lincoln, I think is his name. And it's a good story.
All right, you don't have to talk that much about rom-com. You don't have to talk that much about rom-com. I only put it on the list. I'm not a big rom-com guy either. I put it on the list for that same reason because, like, you still got to respect that category because there are some people that's their favorite movies, like McKenna, my wife. That's their favorite category. Anyway, mine's going to be Crazy Stupid Love. It's got Steve Carell in it. It's got Ryan Gosling. Very awesome movie, very funny, and it's a wholesome, warm-hearted movie.
Is that a rom-com?
I would
say that's just
I got
a
40-year-old version. As my
it's a good one. Gosh, that's good. It's good.
Mm.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I googled. I made sure. No, I had to make sure. Paul, I googled.
He googled. Paul, sit down. Sit down, please, Paul.
Okay, Paul, what's your favorite rom-com?
I actually googled famous.
Yeah, you not remember the beginning?
Paul, it's definitely.
It doesn't have.
Do you not remember the ending of the movie? Like, are you not?
It's not in that same vein of like most rom-coms are like.
Okay, the beginning. That's it's still funny.
That one's not.
50 First Dates would have been on there too.
Okay. Oh, you didn't know?
My gosh,
you know?
I didn't know you were the gatekeeper of rom-coms.
My favorite rom-com is As Good as It Gets. Jack Nicholson, he won an Oscar for it. It's a great movie. You all probably haven't seen it. You all should go see it. You should show your wives it. Great movie. He's like, Yeah, that's what it's called. And
is it the title of the movie? As Good as It Gets?
no, As Good as It Gets. Jack Nicholson,
Okay.
Helen Hunt.
Thought you were doing the lead
Jack
lip
Nicholson
roll.
has like this crazy OCD disorder, and it's about him trying to find love. Great movie. No, it hasn't been confirmed, but
Is it about Boone?
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, Matthew, hit us with the next one.
My favorite action movie, I'm gonna have to go with Endgame / Infinity War. I don't know which one to pick. Infinity War has like the good ending, the cliffhanger ending, and it's. I like movies that sort of end bad. That you're like you don't expect because you expect like almost all superhero movies to end good, and Endgame doesn't, or Infinity War doesn't. But I think I'll put Endgame here because it sort of wraps up the whole first phase. Or first three phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right, this is the first time we have exact replica. Mine is Endgame as well, and that just shows you Matthew picked favorite. Remember, I did best, so I do think it's the best. Like I genuinely think it is the best action movie because I think it does everything it's supposed to do. It has that perfect action, that battle at the end. Salivate on how awesome that is. I remember we watched it together. Remember the clapping? You get people the gasp when he picks up the hammer.
I teared up.
Yeah, I teared up. I definitely teared up when they came to help him because you just didn't know. Like you did not know it was going to end that way, and then you get the circle. We're here with you, man. I could tear up right now. Like, that's how good that movie was.
Well, this
is
perfect action movie. Mine is Avengers. It's just Avengers though, like the first Avengers.
The first one.
Yeah, the first because I can remember. That was one of the ones that like we left the movie theater together, and I was just like, holy crap! Like this is just the first. You remember that? Like when we left, it was like, oh, this is gonna be a thing. Like you knew it was gonna be like I don't know. It was just cool the way the whole graphics were. Superheroes weren't really portrayed like that.
Yep, I get it.
Like that level.
Okay, I didn't.
Like we hadn't seen before. It was just cool.
I definitely get.
I didn't
put
pick
that
the
on
Avengers.
That's respectable.
But I do like the Avengers movies.
But yeah,
but I did pick a superhero movie. I'm surprised none of you all picked it. I picked The Dark Knight. Great movie. It's one of that's the movie of our generation. Everyone our age has seen that movie at least 5 times, at least.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah, but it's the best Batman too.
It is.
I would argue for it to be the
best
Batman. Action movie of all time too.
That movie's amazing.
Batman. The next.
Well, actually, I didn't know. Well, the reason why I'm saying that is I'm saying our Batman is because apparently, like, if you go ask somebody who grew up when the first Batman came out and it broke up, like everyone will say that's their favorite Batman. So, like, it's just like we say it's the best because it was our generation's Batman. But they'll say that's their best. Just like when there's a new Batman, they'll say that's the best. Yeah. Like that's just kind of how it works. Each Batman goes with its generation. I agree. That's the best. They 100% are, but some people argue that they're not fantasy enough driven. They're more grounded in real life. Some people don't like that. Some people do. I still think The Dark Knight's great. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, but I'm just telling you the tomato
Oh, no,
here.
that Batman's going to be hard to beat ever.
Oh,
Batman
100%.
Joker combo duo right there.
But here's the thing, though. So many people I get on this hill right now. People would disregard The Dark Knight Rises. I loved that movie. So many people are like, it sucks. Well, of course it's not going to be as good as the best movie maybe ever. Okay,
I like it. It's my least favorite of the series, but I really like that.
I think it ended it well. I think it was awesome. But people kind of disrespect that movie, and it gets on my nerves.
You know what? I like those slow burners.
I like Batman Begins. I don't know. It's a little slow burn for me, but they're like tied for second. All right. Anyway, it's not.
Right. The next genre is horror. The reason I didn't put horror in my top 5 was because rewatchability was one of them. And once I know what's going to happen, I'm not really scared of it. So I put the horror movie that scared me the most is what I did for favorite, and that would be Hereditary. I'm never going to watch it again. It's terrifying. It's not really scary. It's more like unnerving, and like you're always like on edge, and it's terrifying.
That's number one that's mine too. And I'm doing. I like how me and Matthew got a vibe here because Matthew's doing favorites and I'm still doing best. I think Hereditary is the best. Like that movie, just I don't know. I could have walked out of that movie wanting to throw up. Like I literally wanted to throw up. My stomach wasn't feeling good. I kind of had depression like real hard for a week. Like it was just bad. I refuse to watch that movie like again. I will not watch it again. It's just one of those movies that it's a one time's good enough for me. I'm moving on. Midsommar tried to compete with it. Midsommar had that unsettling feeling, but it just never got the horror element right. Midsommar, but Hereditary is that movie. I would say it's the number one horror movie for me in history. For me.
Okay, well, mine is just me, my favorite horror movie. I don't know why this is my favorite horror movie, but I've always liked it. It's As Above, So Below. It's not even that
Awesome.
scary.
Yeah, we all watched this together.
This is my
Yeah, all
category.
of us.
I get hyped about anything y'all say. It's my category.
I think you showed me this one probably. You
Yeah, I
showed me this
did.
one,
I remember.
but
Did we
I
watch
was
that in
like,
theaters
that
together?
was-
We were all in theaters.
But because this replicates Matthew, you'll appreciate this. That Lord of the Rings level where you have to run quickly back through all the stuff before the
Yes,
things hit you, and
terrifying.
it creates this anxiety. Well, that kind of creates this
Oh,
kind of terrifying
yes. At
anxiety.
that
the
end.
whole
ending.
movie.
Yeah, the whole movie is just like stuff's collapsing. There's a telephone call for no reason. What's going on?
Yes. Dude, that is. Oh, dude, that I should freaking. I could have.
That's
another
another movie I took Amber to watch.
Okay, I don't
That
really.
movie is awesome. That movie
It
is
cool.
awesome.
I do like it. I do like it.
But
Paul, favorite horror movie?
can you all hear me? Okay. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick The Shining. I genuinely do love that movie. I think it's one of the best horror movies ever. It's not like your typical horror movie with jump scares, but it's a good movie, great story. Stephen King,
That's good.
Jack Nicholson.
That's
So yeah,
definitely-
like I said, I don't really watch horror movies.
I look up the all-time horror movie. Well, I mean, it's a good one to pick because I look up at the all-time horror movie list.
That movie
all-time,
actually
like,
it
different
scared me
ones,
too.
And The Shining is
Yeah.
usually number one, but
That
since
little-
Get Out
the-
came out, some people argue that Get Out's better than The Shining. But
I haven't seen
you know,
that one yet.
here it is.
All right.
Shining's awesome though.
Yeah.
Doctor Sleep's a great sequel to it, by the way. Shout out. I love Doctor Sleep. Gotta see it,
Yeah.
Paul. It's awesome.
The next genre is family movies. This is a pretty broad category on Boone's part, but I'm going to go with Into the Spider-Verse. Boone already mentioned it on his list,
Yeah.
so I'm going to keep it there, Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh
my God.
Next. I forgot. All right. Anyway, my number one family movie of all time is probably going to be Into the Spider-Verse as well. That's like that movie, or it might be that, or like Toy Story 2 or something like that. But it's probably going to have to go with Into the Spider-Verse because I think it's awesome. But I don't know. That's
Mine's
hard.
good. I think you will. Here's the reason I didn't do a honorable mention because a lot of my favorite
That's a good one.
category movies are almost honorable mentions, but they are my favorite in this category. And this is a really good one. It almost made my top 5.
Okay.
But it's Elf is my favorite. Family movie.
God.
Elf
There
is
you
like
go. There you go.
yeah,
It didn't come
it's
to me.
like-
That's it.
yeah,
That's number one.
it's-
That's number one.
yeah.
That's not. I erase
It's-
mine. Erase mine. That's the number one
You
family.
want me to change
movie.
it back? You want me to change
Yeah.
yours to Elf, Boone?
Yeah, change mine. No,
It's-
not. Yeah, change my family one
No.
to that. Elf is yes, 100%.
Elf is just
I
a
don't know why I
solid-
didn't even think of
watch
that.
it every year for
Mm.
Christmas. It's just still the
And it
best.
never gets
Still
old.
hits.
It never gets
still
old.
Hits. Still
Still-
hits. Yeah.
That's a good movie. That is a good movie.
Is that also your rom-com?
No, I don't think there's enough love
Okay.
in the end.
No.
I think you have to.
Family was like really
Yeah,
broad for me,
connection.
so I didn't really know what to mean by that. I chose one.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find
All
I
right,
chose
Paul,
the
what's your family movie?
Just like clean movie, just like clean cut, just like something you can watch.
A movie that
You.
Okay. Okay.
No,
Well,
it meant for me. It meant like a movie that appeals to like a 4-year-old and appeals.
Yeah,
to
I
an
chose The Wolf of
80-year-old.
Wall
Like
Street.
everybody can watch it
No,
together. That's like how I describe it.
okay. I
It might not be
like
how
a
you
lot of
would
like
describe it.
movies
Paul's
that have
family,
like
that's,
grit and stuff, so there are not a lot of movies like this that I like. But I chose The Lion King because everybody likes Lion King. I saw it on Broadway once. It was amazing. So and yeah, my sister loved it. Yeah, it was. It was really cool. Saw it whenever I was like 6.
No, that's a good one.
That's good. Yeah.
That's a good one. I've heard the Broadway's amazing. I have heard that.
So we have 2 categories left. The next one's comedy. This movie, I picked it. It's funny. It's objectively funny, but it also has a funny story to go with it. Bowen's dad took us to this movie when we were like 10, and he didn't realize that it was rated PG. It was rated PG-13, and this is where Bowen's dad was like cool, and so he was all like embarrassed that he took us to this movie, and it was just the other guys.
This is at the beginning of the cool.
Oh, that is a good movie. It's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I think
Almost
Will
a
Ferrell's
Will
gonna.
Ferrell.
Yeah, Will Ferrell's gonna be in these lists a lot. I'm just telling you that.
Okay, Boone, top comedy movie.
All right, my top comedy. This is one I couldn't do it. I genuinely could not pick it. It's between Step Brothers and Dumb and Dumber. Those 2 movies, to this day, their jokes still make me ball laughing every time I see them.
Well, I did Dumb and Dumber. If you want to do Step Brothers, 'cause
Yeah,
mine
I'll do
was
Step
Dumb
Brothers,
and
but I
Dumber.
can't disrespect Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber. Like that's like, I don't know. That's hard.
The
That's
joke when you make a movie like that, a comedy movie, and it's that old and it
What?
still holds up.
What?
Yes.
It's like actually like it's
Not-
just funny.
what?
Like
It's very
pure
funny.
comedy.
Gosh.
Oh, it's on over here.
Paul, you dying?
Okay.
Paul,
I thought it was going to.
Breathing like that.
we can't see your video, so
Yeah, you're reading.
Oh,
it's not-
okay.
it's not
Comedy.
good if you just
I chose
sit down.
Tropic Thunder.
So what's your favorite
Great
comedy,
movie.
Paul?
Robert Downey Jr.'s performance
You
in
don't
that
have to.
is probably my favorite acting comedic performance of all time. It's hilarious. It's between that and Blazing Saddles. I love Blazing Saddles as well. But I decided to go with Tropic Thunder. It's got a great cast too.
It is.
What did I put for suspense? Oh, yeah. So that is a very good movie. So final category. That it does. Final category is going to go with suspense, and my favorite suspense movie. I sort of put it because suspense and horror sort of intertwine. I put Get Out for this because it's not as scary for me as it's suspenseful. So I put Get Out for my suspense movie.
From my experience, because these are like Boone's categories. From my experience, there is a big divide. Like some people will say they both intertwine. Some people will say they like split. You cannot put them in the same thing. Get Out's one of those movies I would put in both categories. I'm that way. But for me, Paul, we already talked about earlier. Prisoners is this movie. It is the number one suspense movie. I will argue that till the day I die. It's just that suspenseful. The acting in it is so phenomenal. It's probably the best cast acting besides maybe Pulp Fiction I've ever seen. I think that all three of them, I can't remember one of the guys' names, but Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman are at their absolute best. The story, the intensity of the ending, the twist that plays, everything's perfect. Another one of the movies I have no flaws with. That movie is suspenseful for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the only one that I have a problem with you all.
Was it your number one?
With your all's picks.
Get Out.
How do you not pick
Catch Me If
Jaws?
You Can.
That's
Catch
one of
That
that's
was my top movie of all time.
it's possibly inarguably the most.
Okay, and
Suspense.
then-
Who was not afraid of Jaws whenever you first saw it? You were afraid to get in a swimming pool. Millions of people were afraid to go swimming in a swimming pool. It's a beautifully done
I'm
movie.
not scared of sharks, Paul.
Well, then you had a terrible child with it. I'm sorry.
I'm not scared of sharks.
It's a great movie. Oh my god. Okay.
Paul, I didn't see it till I was like 18.
It's extremely suspenseful. You want to know what you're talking about?
I haven't seen it since the Chicago bus.
Paul, this is
You
the
don't
only
watch it.
one
Yes.
where I think we all would agree against you that I don't think it's that suspenseful.
Yes, it does. Oh my god.
For its time,
Jaws
yes.
and I almost
I love
said
that
Psycho
movie.
by
Okay,
Alfred Hitchcock. Those are the two most suspenseful movies.
That's like
of all time.
iconic, but it's not really. It doesn't hold up that well, in my opinion, Paul.
Oh, snap.
I didn't dog you for that. Jaws is also one of
I haven't seen that either, but
I'm glad we're dogging on Paul because I got a little
Yeah.
too much dogging for Karate Kid, so I'm glad we're dogging on Paul about the.
it's
your
just
Jaws.
me. It was
Alright.
the only person that made funny for that is me, and then also Chris. You just projected Chris Bowen into.
Dude, he's sitting next to me. I can hear his complaints from here. Anyway, yes, I do agree that Jaws is great. It is suspenseful. I'm not arguing anything else other than that. That's you're on the bond. All right, let's move on to actors. Let's get this.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this
Our
thing
fantasy
up.
draft is in 40 minutes, so let's just do actors and get this over with. We'll do the same order. I already made the charts. My top 5. Number 5 actor. I got to pull up my list. I don't remember this one. Number 5. This is hard, but I'm going to go Denzel Washington. Put him at
Number 5, Matthew. Get out. Get out of here right now. Go run. I don't want to see your face around here. We're fired. You're fired. You're fired from this list. You're fired. Anyway.
He's in one of my favorite movies, Remember the Titans. So that was easy.
Let it be known
He's
that my
also-
upsetness was because he wasn't higher. It wasn't because he was on the
Yes.
list. Maybe people might be
I'm
confused
aware.
by that. Denzel Washington is definitely. Oh my God! All right. Anyway, that's good. I mean, at least he made your list. I can't complain about that. Anyway,
I don't think he's on Bowen's list.
all right.
Okay, why would you say that, man?
Okay.
Because
What
you
are we
said your
doing
list
now?
wasn't the first.
I could argue just about this. We don't even have to do our actors. Anyway.
Okay, Boone, who's your number 5?
Kurt Russell is my number 5. I think he's amazing. I think he's amazing in Hateful Eight, amazing in Death Proof, amazing as freaking when he came out as Santa Claus, and then this recent movie. I think Kurt Russell is one of my most enjoyable actors to watch. The Thing is my favorite movie with him. It's an old horror movie. Kurt Russell's awesome. He's on my number 5.
Okay, Paul, number 5.
Let me just preface this list real quick because I put a list together of actors that actually would want to make me go out and see a movie that I wouldn't normally be into. Like I like to go see movies that I know what this is about. Oh, this is Star Wars, Marvel, or like okay, I get what this is. But these actors are like ones that I actually am like okay.
So you're about to try to make it. You're trying to set up an argument, a defense on why Denzel Washington's on your list. Is this what you're trying to do?
I'm just saying these are actors where I'm like, oh, he's in it. They're in it. I'm interested in going to see this movie. I would like go out of my way to make sure I watch this movie. My number 5 is Morgan Freeman.
It's a good number 5.
Morgan Freeman.
It's a good number 5.
I like Morgan Freeman. And he's not a main actor a lot, and I guess that's a bad one to start off that list with, but the rest of these are really ones that would...
Yeah, but he's a great actor, so it's understandable why you put him on a list.
Yeah, and Shawshank Redemption was my number 5. And also, yeah.
7 was one of that's my favorite Morgan Freeman movie.
Yeah. Batman.
I think everybody did it that way. That's exactly how I did my list.
This is favorites, not best.
Are you serious right now? Are you serious?
Go and kick Paul out.
She did. I respect her. I think your Louisville bias is coming into play here, Paul. I think your Louisville bias. I don't know about that one. She might not even make my top 30. Maybe. I mean, she's not that great to me. She's just. But that's fine, Paul. I respect you for it, though. I respect you for it. You know what I mean?
So, my number 4. My number 4 is going to be Tom Hanks. Boone, don't get mad at me because he's not higher. Tom Hanks, he's in my top number 1 movie, Catch Me If You Can. Great actor. Toy Story, Forrest Gump, all these movies, Tom Hanks.
Okay. So, Matthew, I'm not going to argue with you because he's not even on my list, dog. But anyway, I will tell you why. I think he's an amazing actor, but I went for the same reason. It's favorites, so he's not my favorite, but I do think best actor of all time list, he's there. But to favorite for me, he's not there because his movies are like movies I'm like, okay, he had that. What's that one movie came out where he was being the neighbor, that Hello Neighbor, or what's it called?
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. Like, it looks good, but it's a movie I'm just going to catch on Netflix sometime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, that's his movies besides for Castaway, which is a phenomenal movie. But most of his movies, I know they're good, but I don't feel the need to go experience them in theater. I can just watch them at home with the family. So that's why. But like you said, for me, this list is about chasing. Like, I see this actor in a movie, I got to go watch it. The next one for me is one that I think he would be arguably for the best actor, but he's just personally, he's in a lot of my favorite movies, is Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage. I stand by him. I think he's crazy. Paul, have you seen Face Off? Have you seen Face Off, Paul? Have you seen Face Off? All right. Anyway, so he's awesome. I think he's great. I think he's very enjoyable to watch. Sometimes he's goofy. Sometimes he's funny. Sometimes he's serious. Great acting, enjoyable. Almost all his movies I can sit through and watch and enjoy. Even his ones that are kind of trashy, kind of garbage, I still enjoy them because he's in it.
I'm glad you reiterated the whole favorite. This is just our favorite actors list because after number 4, it just is my favorite actors. But number 4, I had to put on here because I like a lot of his movies. And Paul might get mad for that he's at this, but it's Leo is my number 4. He had to be on the list.
Wait, is Paul mad that he's too high or too low?
Too low.
Okay, good.
I meant like he should be higher.
I'm gonna go ahead and spoil you. He's not on my top 5. he's just outside of it.
Why.
Did you see my top 3 movies? Inception, Django Unchained, and Catch Me If You Can?
He's just outside of it. He's just outside.
Paul, who's your number 4?
Well, I know us 3 have him on there. Okay.
It's a cop out, Paul.
He may be, but I feel the heat rising in me that he's just number 4. I can feel the heat in my bones right now.
That's a cop-out, Paul.
My number 3. He's your number 4.
My number 3 is going to be, this isn't really a movie actor, Bryan Cranston.
We got to hurry. We do have to freaking do this.
Yeah. Bryan Cranston, I would argue that Breaking Bad is probably the greatest acting performance of all time. Bryan Cranston, that's my.
That's very agreeable. That's very. I could definitely get behind that.
He's good. My 3 is Ryan Reynolds.
It's Boone was next, but okay.
Okay. I respect your pick, though. I get why you like him. A lot of people don't like because he's typecast. He's always playing the same character. But then I saw this comment where someone said it's good that he's playing the same character. At least he's enjoyable, and I like who he plays, and I do. Yeah. He's not. He's probably close to my he would be 11 on my list. He's not in the top 10, but I do like him a lot. Anyway, my next one. This dude, every time, just saying his name brings fear into everyone's eyes. He's in my number 1 show of all time when we do that list. Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is my dude. If I see him in it, I don't care if the movie's garbage. I don't care if it's the worst movie you've ever seen. If he just goes stand in front of a screen, I see Kevin Bacon on there, I got to go watch it. I got to go watch that movie.
I'm surprised Friday the 13th wasn't on your list.
He's so cool. I know. Friday the 13th, the only reason it didn't make my list is because it's just not I don't want to get into it. But anyway, it's just I don't think it's it did great for its time, but it does not. I don't think it holds up that great in the real world. But anyway, Kevin Bacon, that's my dog. No, that's my dude, number 3.
Okay, Paul, number 3.
Ryan Reynolds is also my man crush. Yeah, that's why I had to put him on the list.
I don't have a man crush, but I'm just.
Yeah, you do.
My number 2.
Washington. That's what that's called.
Moving to the top 2. My number 2 is Samuel L. Jackson. It was very hard to take him. It was very hard to
I forgot about him, too. How? How do you forget about the guy who's played in every movie ever?
He's good in everything. He's in the Avengers. He's in
I almost put him in number 5.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Wow, he's really has been in everything.
Boone, number 2.
My number 2 is going to be one that I argue about. It's one I won't even talk that much about Denzel because you already know he's number 1. I can go and spoil that for y'all right now. But anyway, my number 2 is one that I think that everyone would agree on if they watched more of his movies, watched more of his content. But Ben Middleton is my number 2. It's one that shocked me because he every time he plays, most of the time he's a bad guy. In almost everything, he's a bad guy in Rogue One, bad guy in Dark Knight. Every time he's a bad guy, you hate him so good. You hate him. And I'm like, that's good acting. That is so good acting when you hate somebody that much. And Rogue One, I absolutely hated him. And so then I was like, okay, I always thought he was a decent actor. Well, then I watched The Outsider, and I was like, okay, this dude can perform. This is one, I would put him on maybe my number 1, number 2 actors of all time because he's that great. And he's awesome. You know him. You'll recognize him as soon as you see his face. You'll oh, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
What did you think his name was, Boone?
It's Ben Middleton or Ben Mendelsohn. I knew I might have spelled it wrong on here, but anyway, that guy's number 2 for me. He's that great. He's that great.
Oh yeah.
I recognize him, but I don't know. Okay.
Yes,
that was him. Yeah,
okay.
I
Boone,
yeah,
who's your number 2?
Watch The Outsider.
2 is Jim Carrey.
It's a good one. I agree with that. I know Paul doesn't agree. Whatever, Paul.
Paul, who's your number 2? No.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. True. That's true.
Moving into our number 1s, wrapping up the episode. Number 1, I've already talked about it pretty much. It's my top 3 movies. It's going to be Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know what it is, but I just it's more so that he's in a good movies is a big thing. What's going on here? But yeah, that's my number 1.
My number 1 is obvious. It's the GOAT, the all-time greatest of all time. It's Denzel Washington. Can play any role. He is literally the epitome of what it means to act the best and make you believe his character every single time.
And
he picks good movies. Did I? No, I did. Not, but it's complicated to tell you why. But almost every movie after that is Denzel Washington. Equalizer, right after that, Training Day, right after that. Like I could sit there and just hit you with these Denzel Washington movies, but he is my favorite actor of all time. But he is not, sadly, not one of my favorite movies.
Seeing this graph with all of our names and then Jennifer Lawrence to Paul.
All right, tell us your number one. Finish this up.
My number one, I just love comedy movies, so my number one's comedy. Will Ferrell is my guy.
He almost made my list.
I'm surprised Steve Carell didn't make yours for The Office.
I thought about it. I did think about it, but yeah.
Will Ferrell would have made my list, but he just didn't. I don't know. His end of his career, he's got to get it together. He's got to make some more good movies.
He's going to have something soon, yeah, that's a heavy hitter, yeah. Something good. Yeah, we know that.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah. That's what the kids say.
All right. So we're running out of time. We're going to debate our favorite. We're going to debate who is the best and what is the best movie of all time. We can do that in another episode. But thanks everybody for listening. Let us know what you think.
I'm about to go win myself another championship.
We got to go draft our fantasy teams. Let it be known that Paul has the most championships. Me and Bone are tied for second. Boone's won one on accident. So we'll keep you updated on our fantasy draft in the next episode. And then we'll keep you updated throughout the season. Thank you guys for listening. Let us know what you think of our list. Tell us who had the best list. It's obviously mine, but leave us a 5-star review. We'll read it on the episode, and see you guys next time.
Thanks for coming on, Paul.
Stay tuned for Good Mythical More.
Paul, don't exit out you gotta leave your window up until it gets done uploading.
All right.